The day I was kicked out, it was raining. Not the calm kind. The one that slaps your face like it has something personal against you. I stood outside the gate barefoot, carrying a black nylon bag that had nothing but 2 wrappers and my wedding photo. Nobody followed me. Nobody begged me to stay. In fact, Austin, my husband of 8 years, didn't even look back. That was the moment I realized I had given everything. And they gave me shame. Let me take you back. My name is Mirabel. I came from a small town in Edo State. My parents were farmers. We didn't have much, but we had peace. I met Austin during NYSC. He was tall, smooth-talking, with a wide smile that made you forget your own name. He said I was too smart for just village life. He said I made him feel like a man. I believed him. When we married, he had nothing. Just 1 shirt, 1 trouser, and an old laptop that needed to be held at the hinge like a baby's neck. His parents didn't approve of me. They said I wasn't polished. His elder sister, Jenny, called me Mirabel the mechanic's daughter because my uncle had a roadside workshop. Still, I loved him. I worked hard. I sold secondhand bags. I fried buns for schoolchildren. I saved money. When Austin lost his bank job in Port Harcourt, I used my savings to start him a cleaning company. He wanted to name it Sparkle Touch. I agreed. We started with 1 mop and a borrowed vacuum cleaner. I cleaned offices with him at night. Sometimes my back would scream, but I kept smiling. He was my husband. That's what wives do, right? I didn't know I was building a ladder they would later use to climb over me. Austin's business started growing. He got contracts from companies, even cleaned for a bank. Soon, he hired staff. He stopped cleaning. I was still cooking, managing staff salaries, and running errands. I became the background noise in his success. His family suddenly became sweet. His mother, Mama Austin, started visiting every weekend. She never helped in the kitchen. She would sit on our couch, remove her shoes, and say, "Mirabel, this rice has no soul. Try and learn from my pepper stew recipe." His sister Jenny came and went as she liked. She used my face cream, my towels, even wore my new blouse and said, "It's not your size anyway." I complained to Austin once. "Babe," he said, sipping juice like nothing mattered, "they're just playing with you. Why are you being so sensitive?" "Sensitive?" I asked. "They call me names, insult my food, scatter my wardrobe. I'm your wife, not a slave." "Mirabel, you complain too much these days," he said, standing up. "You're lucky I let you run things your way." "Let me." He said let you like I was a visitor in my own home. But I kept quiet. I told myself, endure. This is marriage. One Sunday afternoon, everything changed. Jenny had misplaced Mama Austin's wrapper. Guess who they blamed? Me. "Mama, I didn't touch your wrapper," I said, trying to stay calm. "You're the only one here who washes." "Who else?" Mama shouted, "This girl is evil. You brought me to my son's house to steal." Jenny added, "Maybe she sold it. You know her people like money." That was it. I lost it. "I'm not your maid," I shouted. "This is my house too. Stop treating me like dirt." Austin stood up from the couch slowly. "Mirabel," he said, "I think it's time you left." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Left where? My house. My body froze. "You're kicking me out over wrapper matter?" I asked, staring into his eyes. "I can't let you keep disrespecting my family," he said. "You've changed. You're too loud, too controlling." Mama clapped her hands like she was at a wedding. "Finally, this girl has been a thorn in our flesh." Jenny started helping him pack my things, like I was a stranger who overstayed her welcome. I stood there like a stone, tears gathering in my eyes but refusing to fall. Maybe they were too shocked to drop. I left that evening, with nothing but wrappers, my wedding photo, and my shattered pride. No child to hold my hand. No friend to call. Just me, my broken spirit, and the sound of my slippers dragging in the mud. The moment I stepped out of that gate, my slippers soaked with rainwater and my heart soaked with shame. I knew something inside me had snapped. But it didn't break. No, it just folded, like wrapper you hide at the bottom of the box. Still useful. Still yours. Just forgotten. I didn't cry immediately. I walked. Just kept walking. I passed Mama Yabo's kiosk. I passed the welding shop. I passed the house of that woman that used to borrow pepper but never returned my plastic cup. Nobody looked at me, but I knew they knew. News flies in our estate faster than light. When I reached the main road, the rain stopped like it had finished its wicked work. My clothes clung to my skin like a second betrayal. The nylon bag tore. The wedding photo fell into a puddle. I bent down, picked it, and stared at our frozen smiles. Austin wore that white native with blue embroidery. I had my jelly tied sideways, my teeth shining like I won a lottery. That day, I thought I had married my peace. Turns out, I had married my punishment. I slept at the back of a closed shop that night. The shop belonged to one of my Akara customers. I curled myself like a baby lizard and used my wrapper as pillow. Mosquitoes celebrated on my skin. Hunger kept my stomach company. I woke up to the sound of sweeping brooms and generator hums. The Akara woman saw me, frowned, then softened her face. "Ah, Auntie Mira, what happened?" "My husband sent me out," I said simply. She paused, then handed me one hot Akara ball. "Eat. I go give you space till night." I nodded. That Akara tasted like cement and firewood, but I swallowed it with tears. Not because it was hot, but because it was kindness. And I hadn't seen kindness in a long time. Days passed like they were dragging their feet. I bathed with water from public taps. I used tissue as towel. I walked with nylon slippers. My face started to look like a cracked mirror. Yet I moved. I tried calling old friends. They didn't pick. The ones that picked said, "Aya, so sorry, oh," then disappeared like smoke. Funny thing? Not one of Austin's family members called. Not even to fake pity. One afternoon, I sat at Mile 1 Park, watching people rush into buses like their lives depended on it. I had only 300 naira left. I could either eat or buy a new toothbrush. I chose Puff Puff and sachet water. A man sat beside me. Light-skinned, round face, his shirt looked like it had been ironed with fists. "Auntie, why you dey cry?" he asked, licking orange. I hadn't even realized the tears had started. "I'm not crying," he shrugged. "No worry. God go change your story." I almost laughed. People always say that when they don't know how to help. But he reached into his pocket and gave me a paper. "Na one NGO number. Women like you dey go there." I looked at the paper. AFE Women Uplift Foundation. I thanked him and kept it. I didn't call. Not yet. That same week, I went to apply for cleaner work at a mall in GRA. The manager, a young woman with short hair and fake lashes, looked me up and down. "You have experience?" "I used to manage a cleaning business," I said. She hissed. "Then why are you applying for cleaner job?" I smiled painfully. "Because the owner removed me." She stared. "What happened?" "He replaced me with his mother." Her laugh echoed across the office. "You're funny." She gave me the job. I started cleaning toilets and mopping tiles in a shop where I used to shop. I saw people I knew. Some looked away. Some giggled. One girl took a selfie and said, "See Mirabel, Austin's ex-wife. God a bego." I bent my head and scrubbed harder. Every time I held that mop, I remembered the mop I used with Austin when we cleaned offices together. Back when he said, "Babe, we'll make it. One day, you'll wear heels and enter boardroom. I'll wear suit and carry briefcase." He wore the suit. I carried the mop. But pain teaches you things. Pain teaches you how to stand even when your knees are shaking. Pain teaches you silence, the kind that grows like a storm inside your chest. One day, after cleaning the women's restroom, I sat under the staircase to rest. A small girl came and stood beside me. "Auntie, my mummy said you're very strong." I looked up. "Who's your mummy?" "She owns this boutique upstairs." The boutique owner came out, slim woman, mid-40s, nice Ankara gown. "You're Mirabel, right?" I nodded, wiping sweat from my cheek. "I heard your story," she said. "You were married to that Sparkle Touch CEO?" I swallowed. "Yes, was." She looked me dead in the eye. "Would you like to learn how to sew?" I blinked. "Ma, I run a sewing training. You can clean for half pay and learn in the evening. Deal?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "Yes, Ma, deal." That was how it started. The first day I sat behind a sewing machine, I was shaking. The noise scared me. The needles looked like weapons, but after 3 weeks I made my first dress. It was rough, slanted, and too tight, but it was mine. I kept learning. I practiced. I made mistakes. I cried. I tried again. Sometimes I'd sit at night holding a dress I messed up and whisper, "They will see. One day, they will all see." 6 months later, I made a simple but beautiful Ankara gown for my trainer. She wore it to a wedding. That same day, she called me. "Mirabel, 5 women want the same gown. You're sewing it!" I screamed. Not out loud, but inside. The kind of scream that tastes like peppered joy. From there, orders started rolling in. Small at first, then bigger. I would sew all night, sleep 2 hours, clean the boutique in the morning, and return to sewing in the evening. Pain became fuel. revenge became thread. I named my brand Mirasol Designs. It wasn't big yet, but people started knowing that name. One day I checked Facebook. Austin had posted a picture. He looked older. His suit didn't fit well. The caption said, "Tough times don't last. God's grace is sufficient." I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel pity. I felt nothing. That was worse than hate. But I was not done rising. No. I was just getting started. People always say God will lift you, but they never tell you that the lifting was like being dragged through fire first. My rise didn't start with fireworks. It started with a mistake. Again, one client, a bride named Stella, brought me this shiny lace from Dubai. She wanted a corset gown with butterfly sleeves. I tried my best, but when she wore it during final fitting, the back zip refused to go up. She stood there, tears in her eyes. "This is my wedding, Mirabel. I can't wear this rubbish." My hands were shaking. "I'll fix it, I swear." The wedding was 2 days away. I worked day and night. My fingers were swollen. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I prayed with one eye open and sewed with the other. By Friday evening, the dress was perfect. Stella twirled in front of the mirror and screamed, "I love it!" She paid me double. That was the moment I knew. I didn't need pity. I needed skill. Word spread fast. I didn't even post much online. People did it for me. Instagram reels, TikTok videos of ladies doing before and after with my outfits. They tagged me. They called me the comeback tailor. I hated that name. I wasn't just a comeback. I was a force. By the second year, I stopped cleaning the boutique. My former boss became my client. She paid for 4 custom-made blazers for her birthday trip to Ghana. "Mira, you're gifted, she said, posing in front of her phone camera. "I didn't know you had this kind of magic inside you." I smiled, but said nothing. If I talked too much, the bitterness would spill. I kept quiet. But my tape and thread started speaking louder than any insult ever thrown at me. By the 3rd year, I rented a shop. Small, painted yellow and gray, just 1 generator, 2 machines, and 1 apprentice. Blessing. A shy girl who lost her mom in a car crash and wanted to learn something useful. I taught her the way I taught myself, with fire. We worked 6 days a week. Sunday was rest day, or church day, or Jollof Rice Day, depending on how much peace I had in my account. Customers started calling me Madam Mira. I didn't correct them. Then one Thursday afternoon, I got a call. "Hello, is this Mirabel?" "Yes. My name is Uchechi. I'm the event manager for Naija FemFest. We're looking for rising female entrepreneurs to showcase their work. Someone nominated you." I paused. "Showcase how?" "Free booth, 1 model, 1 outfit, thousands of eyes." I looked at Blessing. "We're not ready." She frowned. "Auntie, we are. You are." So I said yes. I designed a gown using Ankara and velvet, mixed old and new. I added my signature gold buttons on the side. When the model stepped on stage, the crowd clapped. Not loud, but respectful. That night, my Instagram followers jumped from 2,000 to 19,000. Orders rolled in like rain during Harmattan, fast and full of surprise. 1 week later, a woman walked into my shop with dark shades and a big handbag. "I need you to make me 5 outfits for my Canada trip," she said. I blinked. "Okay. What kind of outfits?" "Powerful ones. I'm meeting investors." Turns out she was the wife of a senator. When she got back, she sent me a note. They said I looked like money. I told them I wore Mirasol. I framed that note and hung it beside my mirror. Then something strange happened. I was invited to a private networking brunch for women in business. I didn't want to go. I didn't have clothes to wear that weren't sewn by me, but Blessing forced me. "Just go and look expensive," she said, straightening my wig. So I went, and guess who I saw? Jenny, Austin's sister, the same one who said I was Mirabel the mechanic's daughter. She was serving drinks, not as a guest, as staff. Our eyes met. Her smile froze halfway. I stood there in my black wide-leg trousers and lemon silk top, holding a mimosa, feeling nothing. Not pity, not revenge, just distance. She looked away first. 3 months later, it got even better. I was featured in Glow Naija magazine. They did a story called From Mop to Millionaire, the tailor who refused to die. I didn't like the title, but I liked the photo shoot. They gave me full makeup, did my brows like I was a beauty queen, and called me the resilient thread. Clients tripled. Celebrities messaged me. One actress even said, "You made me look like royalty, Mira." I'm hooked. I had to hire more staff. Blessing became head of designs. We got an office manager, a receptionist, a dispatch rider, and 3 apprentices. I was no longer a tailor. I was a brand. Then the moment came. The moment God himself must have been waiting for. One evening, I was in my studio, pinning fabric on a mannequin when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, is this Mirabel? Austin's wife? I stepped back. The mannequin almost fell. I'm not his wife, I said. Who is this? It's his mother, Mama Austin. Please don't cut the call. I didn't speak. She continued. Austin, he's not well. Business is bad. He had an accident. We need your help. Help. The same woman who called me useless. The same woman who told Austin to throw me out like expired Gary. Now calling for help. I didn't laugh. I didn't cry. I just stared at the wall. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept turning the words in my head like fabric on a cutting table. Help. Not well. Accident. I remembered the day he told me, you complain too much. I remembered how they all watched me walk away in the rain. And now they were calling me. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. Let them wait. It started with a knock. Not the urgent type. Not the angry police type. This one was soft, unsure, like the knuckles weren't sure if they deserved to touch my door. I was in my office at the shop, air conditioner humming, sewing machines quiet, staff on break. I had just finished sketching a new bridal design when Ada, our receptionist, popped her head in. Ma, she said carefully, there are 2 people asking to see you. Clients? I asked without looking up. She hesitated. One is a man. He says, he's your husband. I looked up sharply. My what? She flinched. Your ex. He didn't say ex, but he said his name is Austin. I stood up, no smile, no panic. Just stillness, like when thunder is waiting behind the clouds. Where are they? In the reception. I walked slowly. Each step was heavy, not with fear, but with memories. Each step carried the weight of nights I cried into wrappers, of days I walked the streets looking for food, of times I knelt before sewing machines with swollen fingers and whispered, don't give up. I stepped into the reception. Austin was sitting. Jenny stood behind him. When he saw me, he stood, slowly, like someone who just remembered how to show respect. Mirabel, he said. I stood tall. My hair was packed in a neat ponytail. My Ankara blouse hugged my waist like it was tailored by God himself. My black palazzo trousers touched the floor. And my voice? Calm, sharp, clean. Austin. He blinked. Jenny looked away. They both looked small. His shirt was clean but tired, not ironed well. Jenny's face had lost its usual shine. No lashes, no gloss, just raw skin and shame. What do you want? He opened his mouth, closed it, then sighed. Please, can we talk? I looked around. My staff were trying hard not to stare. Ada had even forgotten she was holding a pen. Follow me, I said. I led them to the inner office. Close the door. I didn't offer water. I didn't offer seats. But they sat anyway. The silence hung for a moment. Then Jenny spoke. Mirabel, we're sorry. I turned to her. For what exactly? She shifted. For everything. For how we treated you. For the things we said. For not standing by you. Which part? I asked again. When you wore my blouse without asking? When you said my food had no soul? Or when you helped pack my bags out of my own house? She looked down. Austin cleared his throat. I was wrong, Mirabel. I was stupid. I let them control everything. I thought I was doing the right thing, protecting my family. I stared at him. I was your family. He nodded quickly. Yes, you were. And I threw that away. I see it now. I've paid for it. Business crashed. The cleaning company died. I had an accident last year. I broke my leg. I lost everything, even the house. So you're here because... He looked up. I need help. We need help. I know you're doing well. I see you in the news. I saw your brand in the mall. Everyone talks about Mirasol. He paused. And I thought, maybe, you can forgive us. Help us. Forgive us. Help us. Funny how the same mouth that once said, you're too loud, too controlling, was now pleading for help. I didn't answer immediately. I sat on my desk, folded my arms. You came here for help, I said. Yes. Not love. He blinked. What? You didn't come here to say you love me. You came here because your life is hard. His lips trembled. Mirabel, I still care about you. Care, I repeated slowly. Not love. Jenny sniffled. Please, Mirabel, even if it's just a loan, we're trying to start afresh. He's been trying to get contracts again. I looked at her. You mean the same he that threw me out like trash? No answer. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Blessing was helping one of the apprentices roll fabric. My shop was busy, alive, growing. Everything I had, I built with hands that had once been pushed away. "I'll help you," I said quietly. Austin looked up. Jenny gasped. "Thank you." "Wait," I raised a hand. "Let me finish." They both froze. "I'll help you, but not as wife, not as in-law, not as friend." Austin frowned. "What do you mean?" I turned to face them. "I'm a businesswoman. If you want help, it will be through business. Nothing personal, no emotions, no family ties. You sign an agreement, you give collateral, you pay interest, just like any other client." Jenny's mouth dropped open. "But Mirabel..." "You can walk out," I said. "You did it before. You can do it again." Austin shook his head. No, we accept. Anything. We'll do anything." "Good." I picked a pen and slid it across the table. "Then write your proposal. I'll send it to my legal team." They both looked at me like I had grown horns. But I didn't care. I had been silent too long. It was time my silence spoke with action. They left that day like two people who had just faced judgment. And maybe they had. I stood in the doorway, watching them walk back to the gate. Austin looked back once. I didn't wave. That night, I opened my wedding photo again. The one that got wet in the rain. It was faded now. Blurry. But I kept it. Not because of the memory, but because it reminded me of how far I'd come. From a woman kicked out in slippers to the woman they came crawling to. And yet, I still wasn't done, because my story wasn't just about revenge. It was about becoming. 2 weeks after that awkward meeting in my office, Austin and Jenny returned with the signed documents. Collateral, one piece of land in Elu and the unregistered Sparkle Touch business name. Value? Not much. But I accepted it. Why? Because I wanted them to taste humility the way I tasted gravel on the day they kicked me out. Not out of wickedness, but balance. They didn't look me in the eye much. Jenny's shoulders dropped like she was carrying the guilt of the entire family. Austin kept saying, "Thank you," like the words would erase the past. But I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for myself. To prove to the version of me who once slept behind a shop that she could rise high enough to lend money, not beg for it. The deal was simple. They'd use the funds to start a smaller version of Sparkle Touch, maybe a dry cleaning outlet or home cleaning services. I gave them 6 months. Interest would be added after that. I didn't want their friendship. I didn't want reconciliation. I wanted accountability. For once in their lives, they were forced to deal with me as an equal. No, as their superior. Not because of ego, but because that was the new order of things. And you know what? It felt good. A month later, I was invited to speak at a Women in Business conference in Abuja. First-class flight, VIP hotel suite, green room snacks I couldn't even pronounce. I stood on a stage before 400 women and told them my story. Not all of it, but enough to make them feel seen. I talked about building from scratch, about betrayal, about sowing through tears, about turning pain into purpose. When I finished, the hall clapped for almost a minute. I didn't cry. I just smiled, because I knew somewhere in the crowd, maybe someone like the old me was watching, and whispering, "If she can, I can too." That evening, I posted a throwback on Instagram. 2 pictures. One, me standing behind a sewing machine with chipped nail polish and swollen eyes. 2, me now. Bold red lipstick, high-waist pants, my Mirasol tag hanging on my neck. Caption, "From unwanted to unstoppable, the woman they cast out." Within 2 hours, it hit 20,000 likes. People shared their own pain stories in the comments. One girl wrote, "My husband also chased me out. Now I'm baking cakes for Shell staff. Thank you for making us believe again." Another woman, "Your strength is the kind I pray for. I'm still in my pain phase, but this story gives me hope." That night, I cried for them. And for myself. Not because I was sad, but because I finally understood something. The pain didn't happen to me. It happened for me. I started a foundation 2 months later, the Cast Out Project, free skill training for women, tailoring, makeup, soap making, wig revamping, event decor. Every month, 20 women. No tuition, just hunger to learn. First day, I walked into the training hall and 17 heads turned at once. One girl, maybe 21, stood and started clapping. Others joined. They clapped like I had just raised the dead, but I knew why they clapped. They saw survival in my face, and survival is more powerful than money. One Saturday, I sat in my studio eating roasted corn and coconut. Blessing walked in. She was taller now, stronger. She now led all bridal orders. Sometimes I just watched her and smiled like a proud auntie. She dropped a file. Ma, someone applied for the free foundation training. I flipped open the file. I froze. Name, Jenny Azy. Photo, hers. No makeup. Plain shirt. Reason for application, I want to learn how to earn for myself. I want to be better. I stared at the photo for a long time. Blessing noticed. You know her? I nodded slowly. Yes. She waited, unsure. I closed the file. Put her on the waiting list. Not because I was angry, but because I wanted her to wait. A month later, I invited a journalist to do a feature on our foundation. The article was titled, Mirabel, the woman who trained her scars to sew. It went viral. Even the governor's wife reposted it. Later that week, my lawyer called me. Austin just paid off his loan, he said. Fully? I asked. Yes. On time. No stories. I sat in my chair and laughed. Not because of the money, but because they finally understood the weight of what they once rejected. One evening, I walked into a supermarket in town. I wasn't dressed for attention, just jeans and a clean white shirt. My hair was in cornrows. I wanted to feel normal. As I walked past the biscuit aisle, I heard someone whisper, "That's her, Mirasol." I turned. A teenage girl smiled at me. I smiled back. She took a selfie, low-key, as if she was stealing a treasure. I laughed softly and walked away. That night, I looked into the mirror. Same face, same eyes, same heart, but something had changed forever. Not just my life, but my purpose. I no longer dream of being Austin's wife. I now dream of opening tailoring hubs across the country. I dream of sending 100 girls to fashion school abroad. I dream of buying machines in bulk and dropping them in villages where women are told they're not enough. Because I was once told the same thing. But here I am, standing tall, thread in hand, needle sharp, and power in my voice. Let them say what they like, that I changed, that I became proud, that success entered my head. Maybe they're right, but if pride is what it takes to never beg again, then let me wear it like jelly on Sunday morning. To the viewers, so what do you think? Was Mirabel right to help Austin and his family? Would you have done the same? Or do you think she was too soft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to know who you agree with the most. Also, don't forget to check your right corner of the screen to watch more stories like this. Real, emotional, and unforgettable.